Greetings and welcome to WinWin Live. This is Ken Whelan from Light Reading, and today we are glad to have Mr. Seizo Onoe, who is Director of TSB, which stands for the Telecommunication Standards Bureau at ITU. Now, Mr. Onoe is going to share experiences and insights on AI and network from ITU-T. We'll be talking about three topics. First, ITU-T's contribution to the standard and development of optical network technologies. And secondly, how networks and ITU-T are embracing the AI era. And finally, we'll discuss what consensus and standards might be promoted for Network 2030. So welcome, Mr. Onoe. So let's get straight in with my chat recently from Glenn from the Study Group 15 of ITU-T, which of course is responsible for optical standards. And they have developed many important standards that have been commercially deployed. Can you give 2 or 3 examples that have been crucial for the industry?
This year marks 40 years since ITU first standardized the single-mode optical fiber. We have released a number of key standards. Recent ITU standards support optical transport up to 800 gigabit per second. For optical access, recent ITU standards support fiber to the home at 50 gigabit per second. We are now looking at the next generation of the PON standards up to 100 giga and 200 giga. In addition, we are also developing standards for the in-home fiber networks to create a direct fiber connection to the Wi-Fi access.
Okay, thanks for that. Well, the AI era is coming. So as an industry standards organization, how does ITU view the network development trend in the AI era?
Artificial intelligence and machine learning are becoming fundamental to our complex network, and the wide variety of the services that our networks support. ITU standards are supporting AI applications in areas including network orchestration, multimedia coding, and optimizing the energy and cost efficiency.
So for the 2030 AI era, how is ITU currently preparing at a standards level, such as data center optical cross connections and end-to-end intelligent network, as well as, of course, O&M?
Our standards provide a toolkit to integrate machine learning in future networks, but there are more works to be done. We need to move beyond AI overlays through integration, AI native networks. We have just established a new ITU focus group on exactly this topic. Our focus group are open to all.
Now, if you look at ITU-R, which focuses on radio communications, they have developed an IMT 2030 framework for wireless standards. Do you think ITU-T may need to define an optical standard generation for 2030 and develop a corresponding framework in much the same way as ITU-R has done for the wireless side?
Regarding generation, you talked about generation. But I believe that mobile generation is mobile generation. Optical fibers transport network must evolve independently of the mobile generation. Of course, for the branding or initiating some project, it's very good to define the generation.
Not necessarily linked to mobile networks, Paul. Maybe AI will make that like a generation, a new development which needs to be standardized and use cases addressed and develop a framework in that sort of way.
Yeah, of course, ITR defined the IMT 2030, and that defines some requirements, use cases. ITUT also have some additional work on the future optical networks. I don't necessarily link directly to the mobile generation.
There might be sort of optical standards generation in parallel. It has their own generations.
Also, the new generation of transport network need to take care of the older version of them. That's my point. But of course, achieve new generation, it's a very good goal.
That would be a standards focus. So under the IMT 2030 framework, ITU-R has coordinated well with 3GPP, ETSI and related standards developing organizations in the optical field, such as IEEE and ETSI, ISG, F5G, BBF and IETF. Do you encourage ITU-T SG15 to work with SDOs to define the generation of optical network and technical standards and promote greater consensus in the industry?
Yeah, actually, one of the priorities is cooperation with other organizations. Single organization cannot do everything, so we need a collaboration framework to maximize the efficiency of standardization process as a whole. We need a collaboration with other organizations.
Well, I hope you found the meeting with Mr. Onoe very useful. The achievements made by ITU-T in the past decades are obvious to all, I think. And looking forward, ITU-T is going to be developing more valuable network technology standards in the AI era. And as we've just heard, ITU-T will be working very closely with other organizations to define optical standards, gain consensus in the industry and serve society as a whole. So thank you very much, Mr. Onoe, for spending the time and giving us all those useful insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken.